Okay, I feel like wasn't that a thing on Nickelodeon?
You just
a
got
little
slime,
too. You just
baby.
missed the Nickelodeon thing.
Yeah, it's like a double dare.
Yeah.
You can't do that on television.
Yeah.
You get slimed when you say, I don't know.
You just got slime.
Oh, you ain't getting up from that.
You are definitely not getting up from that.
No.
No, who would want
Thought
to?
about that line the other day.
I want you to
saw-
always think about that one.
I saw someone.
Do you think about it in the voice that Mike does the line?
Yeah.
I think all of this leads to Silverado, the mystic town. A small misfit bunch of friends comes together to right the injustice which exists in a small town. That small town is Silverado, as titled the same of the movie. 1985, PG-13. This is Collin's choice. We need an edit. Like, I need to go back and be like, Collin's choice. And have like a big synth wave. Nice. So, as always, and we'll lead to that, I'm Paul, and next to me is Mike.
Hey, it's me, Mike.
And Lamar's there.
Hey, it's me.
And Jeremy's there.
Yeehaw.
And Collin.
Yo.
And we're a podcast about obscure, forgotten about, and often overlooked films. And this was Collin's choice. Collin, why was this your choice?
And we haven't really touched on any kind of Western flicks.
Yeah, first Western. Rabbit Troop sucks.
And this is one that I've watched a million times growing up. My mom really likes it.
I had a conversation last night with your mother about this movie.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was that weird for me to say?
Yeah.
No.
Okay. It
I
came
think-
out weird for me.
Like I
That's
legit
normal.
hit her up and was like, you should, if you got time, just come do the pod. Like
I tried to get her on the pod, yeah.
as we go through it, she would just quote. She would just throw down quotes the whole time,
That's
and
fine.
it'd be super fun.
Is this one going to be one she listens to?
Probably now.
Okay.
Heck, yes.
So I'm like really trying
Collin's
to
mom.
choose my words carefully.
Yeah.
Or
Keep it-
less carefully.
Keep it above the sweater. Yeah.
Yeah, just get it all out now, Collin.
Yeah. But no, I love this movie too. Rewatching it, I think I picked up on a little bit more of the dry humor that I probably didn't really pick up on, the last time I saw this, which was probably 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's throughout, and it was super funny. I love this movie.
Yeah, so I sometimes have to break up the films that we watch, and I was telling Collin, as apparently Mike was talking to Collin's mom, I was talking to Collin, and I was like, hey, I watched this movie earlier this week, and I had a pocket of time, and I thought I could watch half of this movie, maybe a little more, and do some stuff, and then maybe watch the second half the next day. But I was able to do so much earlier before I watched it that I did have to take a small break, but I watched it all in one, essentially sitting. I will just go into this that I think this movie is excellent, start to finish. There's a lot of fun, and I think there's a lot of things to talk about. But this is definitely I would say in almost our near 100 run, a definitely movie of a different caliber.
This is probably the best movie we've ever done.
Yeah. Well, I'm really trying to think. Like, there's got to be a couple in there that could be like contenders.
Yeah.
But we're gonna have to think about that.
Just at my heart, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. But that's just
Sure.
my. That's tugging at my. That's
Well-
personal. I mean, it's not solid.
No Escape.
No Escape is.
No, this movie's better than No Escape.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I almost said that like, with sadness, but just, honestly, this movie is solid. And I think the overlooked fashion or the focus, often overlooked, is probably the category this falls in for us today. I told Collin, I'm like, I think I saw all of this maybe when I was younger. And I did. Like, as I watched it, like more and more memories I had. But it has been ages. I mean, at least 2 decades since I've seen this movie. And I don't know if that last time was in its entirety. Definitely closer to 85 when I was a kid is when I saw this more. And that, so Collin, you even saying, going back and watching this, there's more seriousness that you're picking up on, amongst other things. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of this, especially if I saw this way more as a kid, went totally over my head. But still, the action and the adventure and the themes, I understood.
Yeah. I'd never even heard of this movie.
Yeah. All right, wow, like at all?
Until Collin mentioned it, yeah, this was... It was overlooked by me. So, was this like an attempt to get Gen X interested in Westerns? Because that's kind of what it felt like.
I don't know.
On Collin's part, like he's trying to get a movement started.
No, just like when it came
Bring these
out.
movies back.
Well, because I mean, like, it had a very different feel to like the Tom Ford or the Sergio Leone kind of westerns. It was definitely more modern, a little bit more fun.
Yeah, I mean, it was, the rival I would say would be like Young Guns, like Western with humor. Young Guns won.
I would say this movie outclasses. Like,
no,
I love Young Guns, but like this is a legit Western.
No,
movie.
I agree, but like the original, not the sequel to Young Guns, but the original Young Guns had a similar tone where there was humor, there was seriousness. But then Young Guns 2 is like a straight like a comedy kind of.
I mean, Young Guns to me
Did you read
always
the
feels
trivia?
like a kid's
Like
movie.
the town of Silverado, they built this town and they used the same town in Young Guns.
Yeah, it is the town from.
Are you serious? Wow,
I saw that
there
as
you go.
well. Yeah.
Wow. See, boom. I was incepted.
Yeah.
This movie has a lot of like famous actors.
Everyone
Also,
who's in this
they all
movie
did
is
a great
movie's
job.
stacked.
Also, Young Guns. If you look up the
Yeah.
cast list of Young Guns, there are like 12 notable people in that film. So, I mean, that's just kind of weird that same town, huge cast, similar tone. I 100% agree with all of you that Silverado is the better of the two films, but I do feel there are similarities because, as Mike noted, like, is this the Gen X version? I don't know of another Western that would be of this tone outside
I don't
of Young
either.
Guns.
Yeah.
And also, I want to make very clear, like, Westerns is a huge deficiency in my focus of film that, I mean, I haven't seen Wyatt Earp for 20 plus years. I could talk about Young Guns 1 and 2 and maybe a couple other films, like True Grit, like the original and the remake. Like, it's got to be kind of big.
Like Tombstone.
Yeah, like I haven't seen that in ages. I mean, my dad loved Westerns, especially like Clint Eastwood Westerns. I just didn't watch them. Or if I saw them, I then fell asleep.
Bone Tomahawk.
Same here.
Bone Tomahawk we could do for this.
Bone Tomahawk, I think, is the best Western in the past 12
Yeah.
years.
Oh, yeah.
Like a horror western.
Yeah. That,
I love that movie.
have you seen it, Colin?
Never heard
Oh,
of
we
it.
should. Yeah, we
Good.
should.
Here, Collin.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Yeah, well, even if we don't do it, which we should, Colin, I want you to watch Bone Tomahawk. I do not want you to read anything about it
Yes,
first.
that
You need to go in super cold.
Yeah,
You need to go in dry.
Yeah.
This is the barbarians
Dry
version of
entry.
a
Yeah, I
Western
was just
film.
about to say
Yeah.
barbarian.
Yeah. All you need to know is Western horror film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With Kurt Russell.
Oh, yeah.
Lamar, I'm glad that you
Caught
knew
on
of
that.
barbarians,
Exactly.
because if no one else knew what I
Yeah.
was talking about, that would have been great.
That's how I was introduced to it.
and-
And Paul and I, we went in.
and
Dry.
Racer
I think
X.
Mike was there. Yeah. Oh, that,
I can't think of the guy's name. He was in Lost.
oh,
Matthew
yeah.
Fox.
Matthew Fox, yeah.
Yeah, Matthew Fox is in
Okay,
it.
yeah, that's cool.
We did it.
Yeah.
Just like we did Silverado.
yeah.
The end. This movie's excellent. You should see it. There are
Yeah.
people in it. Yeah, the director is the same director as Wyatt Earp. He's yes, he did direct Wyatt Earp. He's also the screenplay writer of Raiders of the Lost Ark and a movie I really like called Mumford, which came out in 1999. This movie stars Silverado, that is, 85, stars Kevin Kline, Scott Glenn, Kevin Costner, Rosanna Arquette, John Cleese, Brian Dennehy, Danny Glover, Jeff Goldblum, Linda Hunt, and a bunch of other people as well.
None of those people matter. Well, Jeff Fay's in it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Fuck, was he Lawnmower Man?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And I have that noted, yeah. 'Cause Lawnmower Man's in it.
yeah.
Yeah.
He goes nuts. And he goes nuts in this film.
Yeah, he just puts on a VR helmet and fights
Yeah.
bad guys.
You know who he is, Mike? Which I don't know if I pieced together over time.
Lapidus from Lost.
Frank Lapidus from Lost.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Bringing back Matthew Fox and Frank Lapidus.
Yeah, I realized that halfway through the movie. I was like, Paul's gonna love that.
I have a note.
Yeah.
my only criticism of this film revolves around the character of Rosanna that Rosanna Arquette plays, because she's in this movie maybe like a grand total of 60 seconds.
Oh, okay,
So
wait.
And it's confusing.
I read something about that.
The story of this character is hilarious.
Bet you both read the same
Like
thing.
as we
Probably,
go
yeah.
through, maybe we'll talk about it. But I mean, like the way that everyone kind of just bails on her is
Yeah.
hilarious. It's super funny, and it's
Yeah.
it's like it's one of those things that they probably could have just cut out altogether, but including it, like for the character development of Paden and Emmett, like kind of as a background thing, like if you rewatch it, is hilarious.
I mean, just watching it on this viewing, I thought it was hilarious. I mean,
Yeah.
everyone's attitude is very bizarre.
Yeah.
And like it only really came together for me at the end when I'm like, oh man, like this is her story. So
Every time she popped up, I kind of forgot about her. I'm like, oh right.
yeah, so yeah, Rosanna Arquette is
There's
billed
Rosanna.
like number 4 on this, and as everyone's noting, she barely talks, she's barely in it.
Apparently, she had a ton of scenes cut. Like there was supposed to be a pretty big romantic love interest story between her and Kevin Kline, and when they at the end they're like, nah, fuck that. They just axed it all.
They just did a little. She gave a little monologue, and he's just like, no.
Yeah, that makes sense though, because like, why would they bill her? She was a famous actress at the time. Why would they bill her like 4th billing, and then she's in it like less than 60 seconds the entire movie, which is like over 2 hours long.
Yeah. There's no reason for that. No good answer.
No.
They just didn't like her.
There's too much story to pump into this.
We
2
don't need no
hours.
damn romance in this Western.
Sometimes you just pump a name out there just to get attention. Like, what was that movie? I think, who won that Oscar for his Cuba Gooding Jr. in Jerry Maguire, and then he starred in that movie Stealth. You guys remember that movie?
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
And he's in it for like 1 minute,
Or Steven Seagal,
but he's
Executive
getting like
Decisions.
first billing.
Yeah.
So it's like, so they can say they have Oscar winner in this movie, but just for a minute.
Well,
Big name draws.
before we go into just even summaries and going, through the story, I mean, walking away in this, Kevin Kline is just awesome. Like, just start to finish. I really like his character. I like the big thing that caught me in this film is the writing of this movie is superb. There are backstories and stories that come out over time, and it's really done well. It's finessed out and not just force-fed to me or said in some weird narrative. It is, I mean, like the character development in this movie, I mean, is a testament to the writers. Very believable, very lovable, very likable. This band that comes together, this group, I mean, I like every single one of them. Kevin Costner is such a doof in this film, but I still like him too. Like I feel like everyone treats him like their stupid younger brother, and you're like, damn it. But he's like a good shot, and he's kind of got a good heart. But you're like, damn it, this is the guy who's gonna get me into trouble. But everyone's in for it. Like, and when he's on your side too, Kevin Costner, like, it's good. I don't know. Yeah, the story.
I totally forgot Kevin Costner was in this movie. When I was watching it, I'm like, oh shit, dude, that's Kevin Costner.
Well, I don't think there's any movie he's in where he plays anything similar to this amount of like energy.
No.
So
Right.
it's like
No.
it's easy to forget
Yeah.
that it's him.
Well, maybe Robin Hood for like 1 minute, just like his accent, it's all up and down. Even though, on a side note, I love Robin Hood.
Yeah,
Prince of
same.
Thieves.
That movie's amazing.
Yeah. Just the acting of this. Scott Glenn, also super amazing. I mean, again, I think everyone's an amazing actor in this film. Super, super well cast. I just can't think of a lot of Kevin Kline movies like this. I don't know where I would make him a comparable character.
I mean, the one of the pieces of trivia that I read was based on their interaction on this movie. John Cleese wrote his role in A Fish Called Wanda specifically for him because of their interactions here.
That's awesome.
And that makes, like, I could definitely see that.
That's fantastic.
And that is another movie that I do really like.
Yeah, I think there are 3, if not 4, of the same actors in this film, or connections like producers or whatever. A piece of trivia on Kevin Kline that I just somehow did not know, that his wife is Phoebe Cates,
yeah.
which is just crazy. So Fast Times at Ridgemont High, Gremlins, and Drop Dead
wow.
Fred.
You know what? Good for him.
Yeah, this was brought up. We were watching a movie, and it was me, Lamar, and Rami. Listener, hi, Rami. Hey, buddy.
Hello, Rami.
And I think we were watching Gremlins, and he was like, like, what a cutie.
Oh,
Phoebe
yeah.
Cates. And I said, I always thought that, too. I always thought, wow, she is so cute, especially in Gremlins. And like one of my childhood favorite films. And I was always like, she's the cute older girl. And then I just was like, oh, like, whatever happened to her? And I was like, I I did not know she was married to Kevin Kline. So yeah, good for him.
You know how I know that?
How?
Because our sister podcast, Less Than or Sequel To, when they did Gremlins 2, that was a piece of trivia they dropped.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I listened to that and I just somehow did not register that.
That episode came out 15 years ago. So.
I should have registered.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Chris. We're registering it. It has been registered.
The registration is complete.
I have followed the proper forms. Yeah, so what are we open to? We open to a nice fireplace. There's a barn. There's Scott Glenn. A bunch of dudes trying to break into said barn lodge.
I don't know if I call it a barn. It is a shack.
It's a shack. Yeah.
Yeah.
A shanty.
He's just chilling.
What's less than a shack? Because I think this was it.
A lean-to.
There you go.
A hovel.
A post.
Yeah, he's just kind of chilling out, and he hears some doings afoot outside.
We get a little cinematography quickly too. You're in New Mexico all throughout this film. It is beautiful.
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
It is.
But Scott Glenn, who is Emmett, he's not having it.
He's pretty salty about this. I don't really know why they were after him. I think it was explained.
You find out later in the film.
Yeah, you do find out later. But he shoots the fuck out of all of them. He kind of like he's a really good shot. We learn that later on.
The one question I have, and I don't know, does he take one of their horses from the beginning?
Yeah.
Or
Yes.
Okay. Oh, that's
Yeah,
right.
two
That's
of the
right.
horses
That's right.
run off.
That's
They're
right.
they're the only smart.
That's right. I later have notes
out
about
there
that
at
because
the
that is that is revealed. But the whole time I was just like, did he always have two horses? I'm like, do
Motherfucker's got
people
two
usually
horses.
travel with two horses?
Well, sometimes one gets tired.
Yeah, it's all throughout my notes, but then you guys saying that, I'm like, later something is said, and I was like, and I was like, I'm glad I noted that.
Yeah. So he shoots all these guys kind of through the wall. Like he's inside, they're outside. He's kind of tracking them based on sound and the force probably. Yeah, and he just shoots the fuck out of them. Takes his horse and one of their other horses and gets the fuck out of there.
Yeah, and you basically have the opening of this movie. You're like,
Yeah.
who's this badass? Don't mess with him. He was
Right.
taking a nap.
Yeah,
Let him nap.
No one's said a line as of so far.
But you know so much.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
But we don't really know his attitude. We're like, is this like some rough and tough bastard who's just like shooting everybody? But he immediately...
That's me.
Well, he immediately meets Kevin Kline, who is Paden, and he is in his long johns.
He's just laying down on the ground.
He's got a nice
he has
rock,
a rock
pillow.
for a pillow.
Yeah. He's getting all super comfy. That's funny that Jeremy said that because I, for whatever reason, just randomly thought of the Jeremy sweater the other day. I was like, I was a little cold. I was like, Jeremy would know what I was talking about. Wearing a nice sweater from The Matrix or No Escape. He knows the sweater I need.
There you go. Yeah, I do know. I'm gonna bring you that sweater.
Thank God. Finally.
My niece knit you one.
Thank God. But yeah, apparently Kevin Kline was jumped. The story is he was on his horse. We'll learn a little more of that story very soon. But apparently he was jumped. They took everything, but they didn't kill him. So he kind of feels lucky about that. They were laughing when they left him. So he doesn't feel super lucky about that. But Emmett helps him, and we kind of see him warming up to a fire, and he's kind of, telling this story. And
They're using another rock fucking pillow again.
I love rock
fire.
pillows. Probably good for you.
Yeah, it's really orthopedic. I like his kind of description on, because when he finds him, he's laying on the ground. He's super sunburnt, dehydrated, like inches from death. But he's just laying there, like hands crossed on his chest, kind of taking a nap. He's like, they left me for dead. I walked around for a while, realized I wasn't going to make it out, so I just laid down.
Yeah,
like he's like,
done.
well, I guess I'll just fucking die. I'm going to be comfortable. And I don't know. I mean, I'm making light of it, but the way he explained it, I thought was like, that's probably what I'd do.
Yeah, pretty matter of factly.
Yeah, I'm like, well, that's it.
Yeah, the casual attitude
Got
about
a
it.
rock pillow.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
good
they
spot.
kind of bond from the beginning, and you do learn a little more about Emmett. That's what I noted about the attitude. Like, this guy just woke up and's gunning people down. Like, you know nothing about this guy. But he sees a guy in need, and he's immediately like, hey, I'm going to size you up. You seem like a decent gentleman. I will help you, and I'll try to get you to the next town. He does exactly everything he said. That's super nice.
Yeah, gives him a couple bits of coin to buy some pants.
Yeah.
Or a gun.
Scott Glenn's character, Emmett, he said he's from Leavenworth. Would that kind of infer that he is like an ex-soldier or ex-military? And that's why he's such like a great shot.
Not that he's from Leavenworth. He's going to Leavenworth.
Ah,
yeah, and that's their first stop.
gotcha.
Yeah, the first stop, unfortunately, someone is named something, and I'm not going to be able to get over it with Jeremy in the room, but we'll get there in a second. We see, oh my God, sorry, it's really the name that threw me, so I'm gonna get there. So Paden sees the person who, one of many, we'll get through this, one of many that have stolen his stuff.
Right, this guy's got his horse.
Yeah, he's also noted like he had a hat, some various other things. And he looks over and he's like, oh my God, this guy's got my horse. So he runs into, I don't know, like the general store or whatever. And he's like trying to buy a gun. The guy's like, yeah, well, like not with the amount you have.
This gun is $20, sir.
Yeah, and he's like, you have like change. He's like, oh my God, what can this get me? And he gives him this like pretty much broken down gun. He's like, you have one shot. And then he gets the shot off and he gets his stuff, which is nice. But then the police are called and they're like, we need to figure this out. And he's like, hey, on my saddle, there's my name on it. But why I can't get over it, I just keep seeing it. We get Cobb. Jeremy, I just can't.
Brian Dennehy, man, I love.
I know it's the fact that I know Jeremy loves Brian Dennehy. And his name is Cobb, and that combination I can't get over. I don't know how to explain it.
Okay.
Mike seems pretty calm about it, but
I mean,
like his smile, like the smile that this guy does in any character that he plays in any movie. It is a smile like where you're like, that's a really good guy, and he does the exact same smile like in this movie, and you're like, this guy's a fucking asshole. He's a bad guy.
Yeah. Yeah. What he does is like the textbook definition of a shit-eating grin.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
But Cobb knows Paden and kind of vouches for me.
I know him.
I know him. That's good enough for the sheriff. So the sheriff's like, all right, you shot your guy, you got your shit back. Maybe you guys should get the fuck out of here, though.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we also get to meet Lawnmower Man Frank Lapidus, who is Trahey. Jeff Fahey rolls up, and he apparently used to ride with Paden. You don't really know much about that right now, but it also highlights what I feel, honestly, is epic. Epic of the writing of this damn movie. Where they're already noting some backstory that will come out, and they're like, hey, whatever happened to that dog? And I kept writing this down, like, yeah, people keep asking, like, what's up with that dog? And you as an audience member are like, I don't know what the dog you're talking about. And Paden doesn't really talk about it all too much. But it's clearly a dig at him, and you don't know why. It was something about a dog.
Did they steal this for Grosse Point Blank?
What?
So in Grosse Point Blank, Dan Aykroyd's character is always giving John Cusack shit about killing some dog.
Oh, well,
Well, Grosse Point Blank was like in 1997.
Yeah.
Well, in Grosse Point Blank, I think didn't he assassinate the dog?
He did assassinate the dog,
instead of like his mark, and then they're like, whoops.
Yes.
Maybe.
I like to think that they,
That would be a big mistake.
It's the same dog.
Interesting call about it.
Well, yeah, and Cobb's like, hey, man, if you want to roll with us, we got a new gig. And Paden's like, nah. He's like, well, and Cobb's kind of a dynamic character. I'm very like intrigued by him because he is very nice and kind of transparent in many ways. Mm-hmm. And he is kind of the accessible villain in this film. Like, his villainy makes sense to me, like why he went his route. Because even he's helping Paden. He's like, hey, man, you owe me $13 because, he paid for all his clothes and I guess supplies. And he's like, okay, like, all right. Seems cool.
Yeah.
Like, that's super helpful. Thank God.
Yeah, he's a criminal, but he just wants all of his friends to be involved in his enterprise.
Yeah. Now it's time to go to Turley Town, friend.
There you go.
Yeah.
Get some lemonade.
He's kind of a slow burn villain, too. It's really, really nice in the beginning.
Yeah.
He's
pretty nice
He's
at the end.
actually the whole thing, yeah.
To Paden,
It's nice at the end.
I feel he's always kind of genuine.
Yeah, if you know nothing about this movie, I would feel like it was probably about. I was thinking Cobb and Paden were just going to go off and have an adventure. I think that's what the movie was going to be about.
I'd watch that.
Lamar,
watch that.
you could call him Walter Paden.
I could.
Cobb and Paden.
Damn it, Jeremy! I'm not going to get over Cobb.
You can run like Paden.
At some point, I'm going to need a description.
You're not going to get more than
yeah,
that.
I need an explanation.
Just
on
look
this
at
Cobb
Jeremy's
thing.
face.
Jeremy's
Why?
looks
Give
pretty
me the Cobb.
nonplussed.
Give me the Cobb right now.
We're all getting corn cobbed up in here.
Yeah,
See?
Corn cobs.
cobbed out.
Turley Town friend, get me some sarsaparilla and some fairy floss.
What's fairy floss?
Cotton candy.
Is it?
It was invented by a dentist.
Yeah,
It premiered at the World's Fair.
because this
Gay
dentist was
dentist.
like, I'm not getting enough business.
Yeah,
Probably.
Yeah,
kept dentistry alive for another 100 years.
Boom.
yeah.
Yeah, and so Paden is noticing Hannah, who is Rosanna Arquette, as they're riding in. We get, is it Hobart?
Yes.
Who is Brian James, which we last saw in Crime Wave, 1985. But you will know
Paul's
him
favorite.
in other films as well.
I feel like
including
we've maybe done another Brian movie.
I don't know if we did. I was really thinking. I know he's in Crime Wave. Also, Fifth Element, which we have not done, but I would gladly do. But yeah, he is. I don't know, talking to some guards. Like, it's kind of a little messy here going in. It all makes sense and irons itself out, but it's kind of like a mid-conversation we see. He's like, hey, Paden, like, I'm riding over to Silverado. If you want to roll with us, like, we could use you. He's like, nah, I got some other stuff. Or like, they mistake him. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like, those are my notes. That he goes over to Paden and Emmett, and he thinks that they're, what, like guards, soldiers?
Baxter and Hawley.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, like mercenaries for hire to get them across the Badlands.
But then those dudes show up, and they're all like sketch. It's all like, hey, you got our letter, and yeah, like, you know our terms, and we're going to do all this. Show me your big safe of money. Like, there you go. And
Yeah.
my first thought was
No, they're
like,
like, let's see that cash.
my first thought was like, they're going to take that money.
Yeah, it's like they
I
pay
would
them.
have just shown them like, hey, this is the cash that you guys would get. I don't know if I would have just opened the treasure chest all the way. You
That
know?
for sure was their mistake to
Yeah.
not have that payment ready to go.
Yeah.
Did we skip
Yeah.
like a whole scene here?
Which scene?
Well, if we didn't, my notes are like way whacked.
So they leave Leavenworth after Paden gets his horse back.
Right.
They show
My
up
next
early.
note is when they're in the bar with Danny Glover.
We're about to get there.
Yeah.
They're
That's later.
in the town.
This is
they're,
before
yeah, they're
that.
outside the
Yeah.
bar right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they're in Turley Town, and yeah, this guy, because this sets up the whole backstory. They're like, we're going to Silverado. You know, we hired these guys. They're going to get half their money now for getting us there. Once they get us there, we already have plots of land. We have like deeds to this place, but it might be a little rough and tumble. And once we get there, we're giving the other half. And these guys are like, I want to see the money. They open the safe and show them all the money. And they're like, here's your little cut. And they take this little handful of money out. And they're like, okay, you got our letter.
Yep. And they're like, don't you want to count it? Like, now we trust you.
Yeah. And the whole time you're like, ah, man, this
Yeah.
is shady as hell.
Like, you dumb
but
bastards.
Now, so we see that because it's a misunderstanding. And I should have flipped my notes here because I have it all written. They're not those people that Collin said they were, Baxter, etc. And they're like, okay, whatever. But then we see them later. Like, these people will come into play. Now we go into the saloon. Basically, Emmett and Paden are just eating some food. Looks like nice food. I don't know why I had that like in my thought.
A bunch of biscuits. It was like plates of food.
Yeah, it was
For-
like
for two
biscuits and
people.
chicken.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, that just looks good. And then we meet Danny Glover. He's trying to buy some whiskey.
Yeah, he's Mal. He hasn't had a bath and a whiskey in weeks.
Yeah, it was like 10 days or something.
Yeah.
10 days.
Yeah. I like Paden and Emmett from the get-go here because I see the old West mentality that like you know has been put into the mythos of all Westerns, and it's, you know, you don't want to get involved. Like, things are happening, and so Danny Glover is like, hey, I want this whiskey, and I just want a place to sleep, and he's minding his own business, and clearly this town is run by a bunch of racist pieces of shit, and they're like, you're not getting it here, and Emmett and Paden are just sitting and watching, they're eating, they're minding their own business, and a bunch of guys try to take on Danny Glover, and he beats all of their asses.
dismantles
Yeah, he
them.
takes them apart.
Yeah.
I do like one of the casual lines. I think Paden mentions to Emmett. He's like, "Isn't this an unfair fight?" And he's like, "For who?"
Which way?
Yeah, or which way? That's what it was. And he lays down all of them pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And-
man, like immediately.
Yeah. spoiler, Danny Glover is just a badass start to finish in this movie. I mean, he is the heavy in all kind of forms too, which is awesome.
He's great in this.
And so then the sheriff comes in, and the bartender is being an extra piece of racist shit. He's like, oh my God, like I told this guy to get out. And he's like, I just tried to buy some whiskey and was like, again, I haven't really slept for 10 days. Like, this sucks. And John Cleese is the sheriff of this land, John Langston. And he's like, okay, well, I'm going to tell you, you need to get the hell out of here. And he is clearly also a big racist piece of shit.
Yeah, his character was weird because he comes in, he's like, I don't care for that word.
Yeah, he's a little dynamic.
Like, I think we can all infer what word we're talking about. He's like, but also get the fuck out of town. Yeah. So it's like, oh, this guy's like kind of cool. But then the next sentence, like, oh, nope, you're a dickbag too. What happened?
Dude, he was just one of those guys. It's like it's easier for me to let this shit go on in our town and just kick you out than me having to deal with all
right,
this.
If you're making
that's what I inferred from it. Like I don't like the language, but
yeah, if you're making a Dungeons and Dragons character, you just made lawful evil. Like that is everything that's happening.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Lawful lazy.
Well, sort of. Yeah, I mean that comes out too. Yeah, so John Cleese is just terrible. He's like, get the hell out of here. And I like Danny Glover, who is Mal. He's like, all right. And then he does take a shot of whiskey, and he deserves it. And you can just tell he's like,
hearing that.
There's like even a sigh. He's like,
He already paid for it.
Yeah.
That was a great
What do you
shot.
think the whiskey tasted like back then, man?
Awfulness,
So gnarly.
dirt.
Probably
Ball
it
bag.
tastes like Pendleton does now.
Tasted like the
Yes,
whisk.
that's correct. I assume it's like Pendleton or Fireside or one of those really gross. Yeah.
Yeah, and so he just leaves. He's like, whatever, bye. But the reason I said I like Emmett and Paden is before the sheriff comes in and fully like tells him to leave. He's like, dude, like these guys attacked him. Like we watched it, and he's like, oh, is that so? They're like, yeah, it is so. Like I'm eating food, and like these dudes try to attack him, and he beat their ass. He's like, well, that adds up. But get the hell out of my town. So you're like, that's weird. Like, okay. And the bartender even is like, who's going to pay for this? And even the sheriff is like, I don't care. Shut up.
Yeah, probably you, asshole.
Right. And so, like, yeah, weird dynamic character. Like, still racist piece of shit, but weird. Like, I don't know. I like it. I like it how it is dynamic because of that.
Yeah.
But then the sheriff's like, hey, I'm here checking in on you guys. Like, why the hell are you in my town? And he's like, I'm looking for this guy. And then, boom, we get a jail scene. And we get to meet Jake, who is Kevin Costner and is Emmett's brother.
Yeah,
He's
in
kissing
jail
a girl.
He was kissing a girl,
Just smooching.
and that's a hanging.
Just smooching.
Yeah.
It's a hanging
In
offense.
this town, it's
like-
hanging.
Ain't no smooching in this town.
Yeah.
No.
Well, it's like, every time you kiss a girl, handful of people end up dead.
Yeah.
Man,
Well, I mean,
those are the times.
Yeah, it just happens. It's
can't
a wild
make it
west.
all-
Self-defense. He said it was self-defense.
yeah, most things have been.
There's something a little off about him. He's milling
wild.
around in the jail cell.
He's like
bouncing
doing
off that
push-ups and-
cell when they reach in. But
He's
he's,
like climbing the bars.
Yeah, he's wigging out a little
Yeah.
bit.
he's really happy to see Emmett when he walks in.
He's very
Mike, do you want to say it was maximum wiggage?
yeah.
Okay.
He was busy wigging.
We should do a remake of She's All That Old West style. That'd be amazing.
go.
Blend the two.
Let's do it.
No.
Okay, that's fair too. Maybe we could just do it RoboCop style.
Okay, now you got
She was all that.
If we're gonna do another Western, we should consider the insane clown posse vehicle, Big Money Rustlers.
I will stand by that movie.
Okay.
Well,
Money
I will
rustlers.
too. Yeah. The real surprise for me was the piano player turned out to be David Yao, lead singer of the Jesus Lizard.
Yeah.
And when that happened, I was like, the stars aligned for me, and then I was locked into that film.
I enjoyed that film more than I
Yeah.
had right.
We all enjoyed that film.
It's a guilty pleasure.
I never saw that. No, I'm just kidding.
You better be scared.
God damn it. Well, back at the saloon.
I wrote again. I like that you wrote back. I just wrote saloon again.
Yeah. Meanwhile,
There's a lot
of
of saloons.
sallooning going on in this movie.
Well, what else are you gonna do?
It also connects to Paden. He's very transparent. He likes
a good saloon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he likes a
Yeah.
good saloon.
And who doesn't?
I thought we were going to say it together.
Okay, cut it out. 1, 2, 3.
He likes a good saloon.
Okay, that was all right.
Thanks, Mike.
Yeah. and he sees he got his horse back. He got some of his shit back. He was really lamenting his hat that it fit just right. I don't remember how he said it, but he said it in some kind of like old timey way that was fun.
Wait, I just want to make one quick note before we get into the scene.
Into the hat, yeah.
Well, it's Emmett's like, I have to break.
Oh yeah, we got to break him out. And Paden's like, I don't want to do.
He's like, well,
yeah, I don't want any part of that.
Thank you so much. This is where we part ways.
Yeah.
You've been super cool, and Emmett's cool about it. He's like,
Yeah.
I appreciate it. Like, my plan. I know you're not going to
Like
tell on me.
reasonable people should be.
Yeah,
you
like
know?
I know you're not going to tell on me, but it is my brother. I have to do this. And Paden's like, that I completely understand, but I can't do it with you.
Well, Paden changes his tune here in a little bit.
Yep.
He sees this hat being worn by a gentleman, Hattie, and then, I mean, as one would do when you see someone wearing your hat, you shoot them.
You fucking gun them down.
You just
I'll rough you up, Hattie style.
yeah.
Knick knack, patty whack.
And he does get his hat back, but he also gets arrested.
Oh yeah.
And in jail is where he's rethinking this whole being broken out of jail thing. This is also one of my favorite parts of the movie. John Cleese is playing chess against like his deputy, but it turns out he's just playing chess against himself because he turns the board around after he moves. I just thought that was a great like little visual.
I love
gag.
that.
The deputy's like leaning against the table, like he's seriously
like stroking
considering his
like,
next move.
Yeah, and then John Cleese just moves it. Yeah, I love that. I don't know why that got me.
I bet John Cleese wrote that.
Oh yeah.
It felt like
I
he
wouldn't
did,
doubt that. Yeah, he put that in there.
Yeah.
Well, we get a little I don't know, trickery going on in the jail cell, so they get a little breakout.
What's his name?
Jake?
No, Emmett goes and lights the gallows on fire.
That is one thing, yeah. But the deputy comes in, and that's the little trickery that's going in. So Jake is able to pick the lock, and the deputy comes in and is like, what's going on? And Jake is gone. No one remembers this?
I remember
Yeah.
that.
Okay. Well,
I was curious
That's how they broke up.
Well,
Little subterfuge.
Kind of, yeah. He was doing like the Paden hand puppet.
Yeah, Jake is hiding
I'm
within
up
the
his
coat
ass.
in the back.
He was in Paden's asshole the whole time.
That might be true too.
And then they knock out the guard, and then they run. And then the sheriff is like, what's going on here? Because there's a huge fire, and all like the gallows are on fire, and he kind of immediately realizes, well, he's like devastated. I really thought this was like, you could see in his face, like who would have done
We're not
this?
going to get to hang no one.
But then, like you could see the realization in his eyes,
Yeah, he's
like,
like,
"Oh
"Oh,
God,
fuck."
they
Yeah.
are diverting my attention." Like, they're breaking him out. Like, yeah, it's good. I mean, again, the writing, the acting, everything clicks into place in this movie, like
Yeah.
in so many occasions. Yeah,
Superb. And they ride out of town, and here we get the classic posse chase.
yeah.
And they well, I'm gonna I'm kind of summarizing, but like they give chase, they get cornered a little bit.
There's a legit point where you think that they're going to get caught.
They're going to get caught, but then they start getting picked off by an unknown sharpshooter.
And
Who is it?
yeah, and the sheriff is like, you know what? My jurisdiction ends here.
I'm gonna turn around and go home.
It was a smart move.
yeah. And then that's it for John Cleese.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, and who is it? It's Mal.
It's Mal, yeah.
Pans in its mouth.
Yeah, and everyone's like, "Oh man, we know this guy. We saw this guy back there," and they're like, "Yeah, this whole town sucks."
Like, oh yeah, is he a friend of yours? He is now.
Yeah. So I just wrote crew of 4. Yeah, it's pretty nice.
Mm-hmm.
And then they ride back, and this is where we see Brian James's character, and he's like, "Hey man, those people that we hired."
They
And this
robbed
like
the fuck out of us.
yeah, they stole the whole money box, and maybe
Killed the guy.
yeah, maybe you guys
Yeah,
can
Kevin
like,
Kline. He should have been like, yeah, no shit. You guys are fucking idiots.
yeah, they're like maybe you guys
Go
can
find
help
your
us
money.
out. Yeah, so the deal is they're like, we're gonna go find your money. We'll try to help you. And they're like, how do we know if you find the money you're gonna come back? And they're like, well, you don't really. So another guy goes with them.
Wasn't this Patricia Arquette's husband?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is like the first of all of her foils in this movie.
Well, this was a kind of a weird character because I don't know if I ever caught his name.
No.
And it's only, I think, after they come back, it's mentioned his relation. Am I wrong?
No,
It was pretty clear. Like, he was always saying next door. His name's
Yeah.
Conrad.
and even like when he was like, "I'm going with you guys," Paden was like,
Yeah.
"If I had a wife that was looking like her, I'd be sticking around."
So he even says like, I'll stay behind and
Yeah, he's like, "I'll bang your wife if you want to go look for this fucking
if
gold."
this guy's going, I'll stay.
You
Yeah.
go look for that loot, dude. I'll stick around.
But he doesn't trust the boys, so he wants to go with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They leave Jake behind.
Yeah, Jake goes with the wagon train to Canyon Arrow, or wherever Silverado. Sorry, wherever the fuck they're going. And the rest of them go after the money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is bananas. I love this. So they find, I'm going to use Mike's favorite term, a little bandit hidey hole.
Yeah.
And the plan is Emmett just runs right in. And he's like, oh my God, like I know this guy and I know this guy. And they told me about your little hidey hole. And I should come here. And P.S. like, there's a whole like posse after me. And you just guys got to help me. And, you know, we might have a shootout. But
It's a brilliant move.
Yeah,
Like he has who's pretending to be dead on the horse?
Paden.
Paden, yeah. He's like,
yeah,
"Oh my God, I get this dead guy. Like, hey buddy, like just come on in."
yeah. And I like the crime boss is like, dude, you are no friend of mine. You told me like a posse's coming in. You just told a posse or led a posse to where my best hideout is. Like, dude, go to hell.
Right.
But it's so confusing and so quick. But I also like the mob boss is like, I think this guy's full of shit.
Yeah.
I think he's fucking with us.
Yeah.
Suspicious the whole time. I like it.
Yeah, and then he's and
Took
it's
that
just
guy's wallet.
just like releasing horses.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and Mal's up there taking pot shots at everybody.
Yeah, and that's where the crime boss is like, I just think it's like one guy.
Yeah, I think there's one guy up there. Like he knows exactly what's happening, but him knowing what's happening doesn't help him.
No, because now all the horses are gone, and there's so much confusion that even though he knows the truth, no one else does.
Well,
or
it happens
sees it.
so fast. Like the whole thing plays out just so fast. There's no
Let's
time
give
to
it ahead a
like, think
bit.
and react.
Yeah.
But I like how most of their plans are just cause a bunch of chaos
just
and then
run
we'll
in.
roll in.
But it always works.
It always works all the time.
Yeah. And it does work. And as they're riding off, the only casualty they have is Patricia Arquette's husband,
Conrad.
who gets fucking shot.
And it's his own fucking fault.
Yeah, because he's being
Yeah.
a fucking putz about everything.
Yeah, so he's dead.
Yeah.
But they got the money box.
They did get the money box.
Is it because he thought they were going to take the money?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, they could have... They grabbed the box, celebrated briefly, and were ready to go.
And that's all he needed.
And
Yeah.
he fucking was just like,
man,
hey,
I
you guys
wanna
are going to
carry
take
the
this. We're
box."
going to hang out here for a couple minutes so I can so I can, reprimand you about taking the box and stealing it for yourselves. And he gets shot in the
Fucking
chest.
chode.
Yeah.
big time Shoden.
God damn.
Yeah.
Or, a true bro move. He took himself out of the picture so Paden could step in.
He's clearing
Yeah.
the way.
Damn, that is.
And and step in Paden does like, oh hey, like by the way, your husband got
Immediately.
shot earlier today.
This is
How
one of my
you doing?
This is one of my mom's favorite lines. It's
Okay.
The geez, Paden, her old man even cold yet.
Oh man, that was so cool. Are these the heroes?
Yeah.
That's when it was confirmed in my mind. I was like, oh, she was married to that guy.
Yeah.
Damn.
This is more genius writing for me. So they meet up with basically the wagon train, and they're like, "Hey, we got the money box, but your husband's dead. Whoops!" Like as kind of noted.
Yeah, she's like, I don't care.
Yeah.
It sucks.
And now everyone parts ways, which I think is just like a genius moment of this film, where everyone now has a side story, and it's really those side stories that now bring them back together. And it's like two parts to this film, and I was like, wow, this is. Start to finish, all of my notes are compliments to the writers. Just, like a really well crafted and thought out. I don't know, like set of scenes and I don't know storylines that branch off then come together. I don't know. I love it. I know there's like a formula too. Like you see this in the Old West, but I like each and every one of these characters. Like. I don't know how all of you guys feel about Kevin Costner. I overall like Kevin Costner.
He was one of my favorite parts of this movie.
Yeah, he's just so wild in this film, but like as I said, it's everyone's wild little brother. You're like, God.
Yeah.
It's really easy to do like kind of like obnoxious, annoying character, and just make him kind of like the stereotype like that, and it just being obnoxious and a little annoying. But I love him here.
Yeah, he's so good. He's so good. So yeah, I mean, one of the sidelines is Mal. Mal's like, I got the letters from my mom, and it's just been a while since I've been in communique with her. I'm going to go ride and see her. It's kind of branched off from Silverado, so I'll ride with you guys for a little bit, but I'm going to branch off at one area. Emmett and Jake are going to go see her sister and her sister's family. They have kids. Yeah.
And Kevin Kline's going to go do some poon hounding.
Yeah. He goes to the nearest bar, as we should expect from him.
No, he goes with Hannah to check out her land.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
He's like, yeah,
He wanted to
I want to
check out
see your
Check out her
fucking
tracts of
land.
your huge tracts of land.
and gets out quick.
Yeah, no, he's like, oh, what? No.
Yeah, she's into other stuff. She's into like real
He's like,
stuff.
are we going to fuck? She's like, not yet. All right, I'm going to the bar.
She's like, I'm an independent woman with my own mind and my own goals. And he's like, nah, dude, I'm out.
And to the bar I go.
So we open. I think I have the proper order. We go with Mal first. So Mal is like, hey, everyone, I'll see you later. Like, I think there are plans that they will eventually meet up again. Like, or maybe it's just pleasantries, but they're clearly friends and they've been riding, I would assume, for some time at this juncture. But he rides off. His mom is unfortunately dead. He gets to the land.
This is like some Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru kind of stuff.
Yeah, like his land's all super messed up. His mom's passed away. He's really upset. His dad, Willie Brown from Crossroads, which God, I hope we do at some point in time.
Well, I do Crossroads, yeah.
Yeah, is Ezra. And he explains the situation, and his dad's like, people burned him out. Everyone's a racist asshole. But Mal's like, Malachi, we get to learn, is highlighting that, they own the land, they own the deeds. And this is like literally one of my favorite lines of the movie. I love Danny Glover's start to finish in this movie. Like, although there are jokes throughout the film, Danny Glover is just a total badass. And my favorite line is, that ain't right. I had enough of what ain't right. And I'm like, dude, this... And you could see in his eyes, like, you're all going to die. Like, it's so awesome.
Yeah, he's got the bloodlust.
Oh, yeah, and he should.
Yeah. But and this is kind of what ends up being sort of the theme of the movie, which is like land disputes.
Yeah, by the McKendricks. And we learned that old man McKendrick kicked it, and his son is now running it, and he doesn't run it exactly the same. Clearly, everyone's been a big racist asshole, but his son is, I think, more blunt about it and youthful about it, and is just clearly taking land, terrorizing people, killing people. The McKendricks are terrible.
Yeah, they're not great.
But Mal and Dad, Ezra, are planning to go to town. They're going to settle this, and then they're going to get all their cattle and their land in order.
Yeah,
but it does not go that way.
It does not go that way. And the land deed office or whatever is the house of the sister's family, right?
Yeah, Emmett's sister's husband's business.
Brother's cousin's roommate.
And now we get some back and forth of what's going on. So intermesh. Now we get Paden back at a saloon.
Yep. Stella.
He loves the saloon.
This is so. Although Danny Glover has my favorite lines and my favorite motives, my favorite moments, my favorite dialogue comes from all interactions with Stella and Paden. It is amazing.
Yeah.
It is so well written, and Linda Hunt plays Stella, and she is just superb. She is 100% phenomenal in this movie. She is amazing.
She does some of the best visual face acting I've seen probably ever in a later scene. I'm spoiling. I'm giving away early, but she's amazing in this movie.
And if you don't know her, we got her Kindergarten Cop, 1990, Dune, 84, Solo. She was in also 2018, and If Looks Could Kill, which we did in 91.
Yeah,
I was trying to think of a movie we did with her.
Yeah, If Looks Could Kill.
Okay.
Yeah, she is just fantastic. I mean, would all of you agree that she is just like top tier?
Definitely, and the chemistry that she shows here with
Paden
is phenomenal.
All throughout the movie and instantaneously. And I think, again, as I gush over the writing, you could kind of just tell. I don't know, it's just her acting is, you walk into this bar and he is so polite. He schmoozes her. She is known for her height, and especially I would imagine in the Old West. And she highlights that she has these like steps in back of the bar, and he compliments her like, oh, like very smart, very genius, kisses her hand, and he's being very earnest about all this, and you could tell that was almost like a little bit of a test for her. Like, how are you going to interact with me? And he is being very sincere and charming, and she totally likes it, and she is being charming back. But all of their dialogue from here on out for the rest of the movie, best dialogue for me.
Yeah.
Amazing.
They're like immediately best friends.
Yeah.
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 And you buy it too, like,
Yeah.
like you are seeing like movie magic, because you, like, listeners have probably had those moments in your life, but like you really rarely see that. But you just caught that on film, and I am totally buying it step by step. It's awesome. We
And
did
it's
it.
not like there's conversation, and it's kind of flirty, but it's not like in the romantic interest. It's more of we're becoming deep friends very quickly.
Yeah, it's like a relationship of respect and just, friendship.
In a way, he's kind of fishing for a job, it feels like. He's like,
And they're flirting. They're both totally flirting.
Yeah,
He
for
is.
sure.
He wants a job.
Yeah.
He loves this place. He was like, I want to work here.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
and he does get a job. A cop
He's like,
job.
I need to work here so I can do some food hounding out of Rosanna Arquette's estate.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just gotta bring in Brian Dennehy to get a Cobb job.
Yeah, absolutely. Hashtag Cobb job, yeah.
Put a sticker next to your name. The Cobb job.
It's an election year.
It sure is.
That's what I want when I come out to Denver. Is the Cobb
You
job.
want a Cobb job? Okay.
I don't know if we have enough money for that.
Well,
Yeah, now that
Cobb comes over, and so the relationship between Stella and Paden is instantaneous, as noted, and very earnest. And he does is like, who's this other guy? And she's like, well, he's actually my partner. His name's Kelly. He's forced upon me. And Cobb comes in. He's like, I'm gonna get Kelly to get you a line of credit. We're gonna give you a room out back. So Cobb is very, again, dynamic for me, because all of his interactions with Paden are very nice. I mean, would anyone disagree? I mean,
No, definitely.
you do
all,
feel
all he has to do is look the other way.
yeah,
you know?
you do feel there's like the air of something's gonna happen, but up until now, he's loaned him $13. He's like, I'll give you a room out back. I'll run you a line of credit. I mean, he's really nice, and this is awesome because Paden loves a good bar. And Cobb's also like, hey, buddy, I'm the sheriff.
Yeah, you can feel the warmth between them. They're good friends,
And by
they're
the
longtime friends.
Is that the Cobb job?
That's the Cobb job. The warm Cobb.
Oh, yeah.
Mike, do you want to say your line?
No, you don't deserve it.
You gotta earn that.
Yeah.
And you didn't with the warm Cobb.
Yeah, I'm not throwing this around for your warm Cobbs.
Yeah, now we get a scene back at Mal with Mal and his dad's just going out to get water, and the McKendricks men roll up, and it is very clear that they shoot him.
Yeah.
You hear gunshots, and by the time Mal rolls up, like, he's gone, and it's very clear. And so we're back at a saloon yet again. It was a very quick cutscene, but we're back at a saloon, and Cobb fires Kelly immediately. He's like, you basically suck. I know you're skimming from the till. You're not really trustworthy. Just get the hell out of here. He's like, how dare you? And Kelly just sucks. He's like a well-cast person. I mean, Kelly does suck.
He's supposed to suck.
Yeah, and so it's evident. So he runs out, and when he comes back in, he's going to shoot Cobb, and Stella stands up and is like, no, and basically gives him some warning. Mm-hmm. So Cobb is not shot, pulls out a gun, and kills Kelly. But Stella is very upset about this.
Well, yeah.
Because it was her fault. Like, he would have not died if she hadn't.
Yeah, that's fair.
Totally.
Well, someone's got it.
Then,
I mean, Cobb does say thank
Cobb would
you.
have died.
Like, yeah, Cobb's like, thank you for the
movie
warning.
would have been much shorter.
Yeah.
This movie could have been
That
4
happened.
seconds long.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think her sadness was like, yeah, I got this guy killed, but he did deserve it in the moment, and Cobb did not. And that dude was stealing money and was a bad partner. I think it was just more, I didn't want this guy to die. Like, he should have just left town.
Yeah.
And Stella's a sweetheart. I mean, so it totally makes sense. I mean, all throughout this film, she does not want violence. She just wants to run a saloon and basically to have everyone be happy. But not so fast. But hey, you know who rose up?
Slick.
God
Jeff.
damn it.
The Jeff Goldblum rolls up. Slick, also known as Slick. He has another name. He just wants to start a gambling game. He's upfront and honest.
This moment take anyone out of the movie for a bit. Just like, oh, this is a what the fuck?
If any character doesn't belong, it's this fucking guy.
Yeah, they go and check out. They go and check on Kelly's body because he's lying dead in the street, and then he just rolls up. He's like, "What did he say? Hey, I'm looking for a honest gambling game."
Okay, Lamar, I agree with you, but I feel I'm agreeing only because I know too much about Jeff Goldblum. It's the wild
that's
look
the
in his
reason why.
eyes. It's the hair billowing out of his shirt from his chest. It's his
fucking fur coat.
He's gonna turn into the Fly and talk to me about science.
He's looking fly.
At the time, that would have been
He is
awesome, but
science.
this is just weird.
It is. And it also made me think like Jeff Goldblum just didn't age for like 20 years. Am I wrong on that?
You're not
that's
wrong.
Like he did age,
Yeah.
but there was a point he just did not age. Okay. So he's a sentient being that must be stopped, is what you're telling
He's
me.
part of the Illuminati.
So what you're telling me is we need to harvest his sweet nectar blood and make it our own. Harvest Goldblum's nectar blood. Say it with me. Say it with me.
This year's Goldblum harvest.
The doors are locked.
Some of the bloom blood.
Praise the maze. I told you so many times.
Where does that maze come from?
Cobb.
The Cobb. Yeah, that's correct.
It's all coming together. Damn it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened. Oh, we're introduced to Mal's sister.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yep. Right.
Yeah, she's a prostitute.
Yeah.
And
Tells her that the dad was killed, unfortunately. But she's all mad because
She's pissed.
he was never there. I mean, mom was dead. He's never there. Dad just died, never there. But he wants revenge, and I don't know why he told her. I mean, what's he going to do?
Nothing.
Yeah.
also Emmett is there. Emmett rolls up and there's a quote like used to ride with that guy in reference to Cobb when he's talking to Paden. And I like that too because there's more of this backstory. Like these people seem very different. Paden seems to be like a Buddhist in the West, and Cobb is an entrepreneur who wants money and wants it his way. And you're like, how would these two have ever crossed paths for like a long period of time? And you will start to find out now, which is good. I like the writing.
Yeah, that was awesome. I like that because it's more for Emmett too. It shows that Emmett he sees through all this. He's like, I don't think that you know this guy.
Well, Emmett is so awesome in this film because Emmett has very little dialogue throughout the film, but every time he makes an observation, he's clearly the most observant person of the entire gang. He doesn't need much. He could pick up clearly if Emmett was someone, he's the Jedi picking up the vibe of someone. He's like, I know this person's deal. I know if they're a friend. I know if they're full of shit. He knew immediately that Mal could easily take down a bar full of people. He's super observant throughout the film. And again, that's noted every time he talks, which is kind of brief. I like him. Emmett's a badass.
So he's Obi-Wan.
I like it, yeah.
Yeah.
He is.
Oh, me, Emmett. Dad's dad, that sucks. Our family's over. Like, you're not really my brother. Like, peace out.
Yeah, basically.
And then the Kendricks roll up.
Yeah,
shooting.
there's like a shootout.
The McKendrick boys.
Bullets are flying.
Yeah, they're coming in shooting and hooting and hollering to break up the little camp where they having a little dance, and then they just come in and just
It's a good old time.
knock over tables, shoot pigs.
Yeah, the shooting pigs was unnecessary.
Yeah, they didn't.
Yeah.
You didn't need to do that.
Nah.
And it kind of turned into a massacre pretty quickly after that. Like
Yeah.
they shot one guy, and then Jake and Paden kind of unleashed. Or Emmett.
Yeah, they killed like 5 dudes
Yeah, they killed like
before
5
they got out of
guys.
town.
Yeah.
Everything was fine until
Shit, these
one
dudes are
guy,
serious.
and it was nice to build up to it. It's like one guy shot away something that was gonna, like a torch that was gonna burn a building, and then he
The
pointed
shotgun
at,
guy
yeah,
that
and then he
came out of the
pointed
house?
at a
Yeah,
guy,
we should also
and that's
say, like-
all it took.
We should also say
escalated.
that-
Shooting champion of New Mexico.
Yeah. What the fuck? Yeah, that was a great shot.
Yeah, they were having like a celebration, like back at the farmland, and that's when this happens. Like they were like kind of out of the city, and then the McKendrick boys are like roll up and like break all this up as noted. And then, Jake rides off shooting. That doesn't really go anywhere. He's clearly, fired up and
He's
pissed
just having
off.
a good time.
Yeah. And then we get back into Paden and Stella just running a bar. And Tyree rolls up, who we noted before, former partner. And, he seems like to be a big problem.
Yeah, he's getting fresh with a girl. Just,
Yeah, he's kind of being a dick.
Yeah, he's Tyree.
He's getting mad because Jake's getting
Successful.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, this dude has crazy eyes. Tyree
Yes.
has the craziest eyes of this whole movie.
Do you get lost in his ocean blue
Oh
eyes?
my gosh.
And his
Do you
crazy
hear a
ocean
seagull? Meow, wow, meow.
Oh my god, there's a seagull in the room with us.
Cobb.
I didn't know seagulls sounded so much like giraffes.
They do.
Yeah.
They totally do.
So Tyree is it's like a bartender comes back. It's like, hey, you guys got to come out here. Tyree's all he's all up in the face of Jake because Jake kissed a girl again. This girl just happened to be Phoebe, who is apparently in a relationship with Tyree.
Are any these girls are all hookers though, right? So relationship is kind of a.
She's pretty much like, she's like, yeah, dude, it's my job. Like,
Right,
you have
yeah.
to let this go.
Well,
Yeah, and
He doesn't.
Yeah, and everything kind of cools out, and basically what happens is Paden's like, dude, just leave. Like, I really don't want any problems. And he's like, but you understand. He's like, I do understand. Just please, dude, leave.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like friends cooling things down. So then one of the most pivotal points of the story for me is this. So we're back at the saloon. It clearly, like, things have calmed down, and it's Cobb telling the story to Stella of the dog. There was a dog that was running alongside of one of the horses, and it was Tyree's horse, and it got caught up, and Tyree is a piece of shit. So it seemed like Tyree was somewhat provoking the dog to get, like, tangled up in the horse's legs. So the dog gets, like, kind of beaten off to the side. At this time, Tyree was riding with Cobb. Paden was also one of the members. And so what happens is Paden basically calls it quits. Why I noted that Paden is more Buddhist philosophically is the story is he gets off the horse and he's like, I'm done. And he basically holds the dog who's super wounded, and Paden just starts crying. And they all make fun of him. They're like, Jesus Christ, why would you help this dog? And he's like, I was just done. That's who he became. He saw that this is how they treat animals. This is how they treat everyone. These people are pieces of shit. And he's like, I'm done with the whole business. And the dog changed his life. And then they're like, whatever happened to the dog? He's like, he left me.
I just like the way that the story was told. I think it's because Paden was in the background walking up as Cobb was telling it.
Yeah.
And I was kind of focused on that because there was pivotal points in the story where Cobb was talking about Paden in a kind of a negative way, but he didn't pull back. He just kept telling the story, and they just rolled off.
And then it turns into just Cobb and Paden gambling. He's like, I put in your $13.
yeah, he gives him his first paycheck or his pay sack.
Yeah, he's like, I took out $13, and there's clearly a ton of money. He's like, woo, because you could even see in Paden's eyes, oh, I like this little sack of cash. He's like, I took out the $13. This is what I'm going to pay you. Let's gamble a little bit, but let's have a little side talk. Your friends are problematic. I've met your friends. And he's like, well, what do you want me to do about this? He's like, I want you to do nothing. Straight up, you just do nothing. Don't get between us. That is all I'm asking you to do. And I'm like, again, there are dynamic villains, and I'm like, that's kind of an honest, respectable move. I know you like these people, but you also work for me. I'm not asking you to do anything. Just do nothing. I'm like, okay. I could buy that talk at least happening, I should say.
But really, the talk was look the other way.
Yeah.
Yeah, he wants him to look the other way for his criminal enterprises. That's why he hired him, to kind of get him out of the way.
Sure, and just run a saloon. And
Right.
he's super, honest. Paden's clearly not, taking any money.
Yeah.
Seems to be doing a good job.
It's a lot better than Kelly.
Kelly's dead, friend.
Kelly was a dick.
So he's already doing better than Kelly.
Yeah.
Well, the result of all of this is that Cobb does send Lapidus to go fuck up Emmett.
Yeah, and that's a big problem. That's a big no-no.
And he does to Emmett what they did to that dog. which
bad
is
things.
Yeah, basically run him over with a horse.
But before that, you get some cool scenes of Emmett practicing shooting. And I kind of like the way they snuck up on him because he's shooting a can, and it's a 6-shooter revolver, and the guy counts the shots. After his 6th shot, the guy pops out, is like, "You're empty, mister." And the gang rolls in and starts beating the shit out of him.
That was actually pretty dope. The guy's like, "Yeah, you're empty. Like, you're too busy preparing for or training for a fight. You didn't hear one come up on you." I'm paraphrasing, but it was something like that. I thought that was a good line.
I like it. You can count the shots, too. It's actually cool.
And they hog tie him, and then Tyree runs him over with a horse. But who fucking saves the day?
Same guy who always does.
Mal.
Yeah.
Save the day.
Another great Mal line. "I don't want to kill you, and you don't want to be dead."
That is true.
Yeah.
That's the shirt we need.
Well, I think half of it was true. I believe he might have wanted to kill him.
You should get on the front, "I don't want to kill you." And then on the back, "You don't want to be dead." I'm sure no one will stop you or anything. Just be like, "It's a podcast I listen to."
Yeah, it's a totally it's a comedy podcast shirt. It's fine.
I'm sure we won't get any side emails about that.
No, it's fine.
Yeah, and Mal wants to go see Ray. Things are all screwy, and basically what happens is he wants to give a message to Jake through her, and Ray is that's right. Ray's like, "I got to get Slick involved.
Yeah.
Like, we'll get Slick involved, and he'll help me deliver the message." And Slick's like, "Hey, I set up a meeting spot. It's behind their church." And it's like, "Oh, whoops, double cross."
Dun, dun, dun.
The McKendricks are all there, and they beat Mal down because that was the only way they could do it, to trick him. Mm-hmm. Cowards.
It was actually Cobb and his deputies.
That's right, Cobb.
Fucking Cobb.
It's always Cobb.
But so this is behind the sister's house, which is where the land register office is.
Yeah, and Collin's totally right. It was
the Cobbin.
the men. There will be a join up of the McKendricks soon, but it is not yet.
No, not yet. But they set the place on fire because ultimately what they want to do is erase all of these land registers or records or whatever, so that they can claim. And someone who's seen this more than me, correct me if I'm wrong, but they wanted to wipe all these records out so that they could kind of lay stake to this land.
Pretty much. And most of the land.
And kill or intimidate everyone.
Yeah, and whatever.
So, like,
they're just up to no good.
General carnage.
There you go.
I think technically it was to prevent like Mal and them from coming in and like accurately claiming the land that they had. But I mean, same difference.
Yeah,
they just wanted to like redo it all.
Yeah. They wanted land that they didn't have, basically. Sets the place on fire. Paden's trying to help put out the fire, and he's not super stoked with his new boss, Cobb.
No, not at all. And he tells him to stop. He's like, it's done. The fire is a coming.
Fire is a coming. Mal at this point has been arrested, and his sis tries to get him out.
Yeah, and she learns of the double cross too, and she is pissed.
Yeah, she's not stoked. She's not stoked with Slick right now.
No.
And I kind of like this scene. She someone help me out here. So she has Slick's knife that she stole from him.
Yeah. She was at the saloon and was kind of like rubbing up on his thigh and his leg, and he's used to this, and he's like, ha, like, she loves to flirt with me. And as she was doing that, she stole his boot knife.
Yeah, and you cannot return that boot knife to its sheath unless it's drawn blood.
That is correct.
That is true.
Truer words. Yeah, so she has boot knife +1. Mm-hmm. And that boot knife comes in handy throughout the film now.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly how the tussle went down. She stabs the guard that's guarding Mal.
He was getting fresh with her.
Yeah,
he was getting fresh.
And he's like, nope, she stabbed him.
But she also gets shot. So.
Yeah, he's pissed, shoots him right in front of Mal's. Mal's has seen a lot today.
Yeah, and he is also pissed.
I mean, that's extra rage. He saw his dad. Well, he didn't see it, but saw his dead dad, saw his sister die.
Everyone's getting shot.
People don't like being shot.
He takes the knife that was on the floor, and throws it at the guy who killed his sister.
Yeah.
That was a good scene there.
Yeah, Ray is also not doing well at this point in time. Like, she's clearly shot. They try to they get her out and they bring her over to the saloon, which is where I go when I get shot.
Oh, yeah. Just put me on the floor and pour drinks in me.
Which part of you?
All parts. all parts. Get a funnel.
Oh.
Yeah, well, now people are just clearly getting hurt, and Paden is just not having it. Stella's also very worried that, Paden's going to get hurt in all this. And then Stella very stoically says, you can't hurt me if I'm dead, or if he's dead. Like, go kill this guy. Go stop all this. And Mal, where is Mal? Oh, yeah, Mal went off to get Jake and Augie and leaves Ray at the saloon.
Yeah. There was the scene where Peyton and Stella was talking, and Stella realizes that Peyton is doing this pretty much for her, and that's the part where I was talking about Linda Hunt's facial expressions. You can see it that you can see that exactly what her understanding of what the deal is with this.
Yeah, and she's just not having it. Like, she's just totally done. I mean, she clearly has known all of the misdeeds before. She just wants to run a saloon. And it's very clear that all of these jackasses come into town. It's like a Western machismo again and again and again. Like, she's dealing with all these idiot bosses. She just wants to be off on her own. But she's just done with this guy. And, yeah, she wants it taken care of, which is good.
It is good. So yeah, Mal and the boys go to get Emmett, who is recovering nicely in a cave somewhere from his little horse incident. They arm up, and three of them, because they don't know where Jake is, because Jake was taken from the house when it was burnt down.
And they took their son when they burned down the house. They took Augie.
Yeah, fucking Augie. My neighbor's name is Augie.
I like Augie.
Yeah. But so they go to ride on this ranch.
Yeah, they come up with a brilliant move. So it's kind of fun, like the camera work and like how they mislead the audience. So you see the McKendrick's like huge ranch. There's like a nice house. It's clearly like the top tier guards. They're dressed nicer. They have the shinier like shotguns and rifles. And you hear like something amiss. And they start kind of going for their guns slowly, or they're about to like cock their guns. And you're like, here we go. Like, how's, Emmett and Mal and everyone just going to ride in like this? And boom, it's a full on stampede. And it's a huge diversion. But the bad guys and the guards, they don't think that this is a diversion. And even if they do, who cares? There's a stampede. And that stampede is vicious. Like, there are two dudes dead, like, immediately.
Oh, yeah, that stampede fucks all their shit right up.
It looked like just all longhorns.
Yeah, they're not pulling punches on, like, the brutal stampede that, like, if it goes wrong, like, you're dead.
Also, side note, like, I don't know very much about animals in movies and whatnot, but it looked like they caused an actual stampede. I don't think you can have, like, 3,000 trained cows. Like, I think they just made a stampede.
Like that would be amazing to research, maybe.
I'm not here to judge.
Yeah.
You do whatever you gotta do.
But no, like, straight up, the makers of this movie were like, let's just make a stampede.
If the animals got hurt, I might be judging.
Okay.
I'm going to start judging.
Was this before or after the no animals have been harmed in this movie thing?
I'm sure they weren't harmed.
They were fine. They were
it looked
happy
like
cows.
Well, it looked like when they were like running things over that there was like probably prop wood, and I'm just assuming.
Yeah.
Because I'm also assuming that if things like really got brutal, it'd probably be edited out of the film.
Probably, yeah.
But I don't know. I'm going to base all my knowledge off City Slickers, like, as everyone should.
Yeah,
that's where we all get it from, yeah. So they, as the stampede diversion's going well, they kind of get inside the ranch. They find Augie. They're like, Augie, where's Jake?
I will tell you where he is, Father. Father.
Wait, who?
I've been listening to Less Than Jake all of my...
That's exactly how Augie talks.
Yeah, Augie's a big fan of 90s ska punk band Less Than Jake.
He could also be a fan of Jake the Snake.
Mm-hmm.
Taking out the snake.
Oh, wow.
Don't do that.
Well, he tells him, he's like, well, Jake's dead. Like, we were riding, he fell off his horse off a cliff. And immediately Emmett's like, nah, he's good.
He fell off a horse off a cliff.
Well, and this is like, this is credit to like how people view Jake. Like, yeah, he's kind of a goofy weirdo, but like everyone knows, like, Jake doesn't fuck around. Like, he's not a clumsy dumbass. He did not fall off a horse. Like, he
like leapt onto the back of a horse, like from a fucking bar or something like that earlier in the film.
Did you notice that his horse was wearing his hat during that scene?
I didn't notice that, but I did read some trivia on that. Like, it wasn't planned out. Like, that just happened and they kept it in the movie.
Yeah, well, like when Augie tried to jump onto his horse that he was leading around, the horse was wearing his... I don't know. That was amazing.
Wow.
I totally didn't notice that. That's hilarious.
Okay. Because Jake's a clown.
Yeah.
But yeah, so, Emmett believes that Jake is probably out there somewhere just doing fine.
And he is.
And he is
out there in the barn.
Mal is on the roof taking shots at people.
How did he get up there?
Well, Jake's in the barn. Like on top of the house. Jake's like straight up in the barn.
Yeah, Jake's in the barn doing pull-ups or whatever. I don't know. They just they're running through the house, trying to clear things out.
Well, they eventually team up. Paden and Jake, I wrote on the side, just become, my literal note is just become a kill team.
Yeah.
And then I wrote co-op kings.
They are the co-op kings, yeah.
Little notes like that, Lamar.
They make it special.
No, I mean, yeah, once they team up, like, I love their dynamic. They're clearly brothers. They get along well. They know how each one of them operates. Emmett is clearly more focused, and Jake is just a wild card, but they absolutely make it work in this little town called Silverado.
Well, I mean, Jake's like a crack shot.
Oh, yeah. Crack shot. 7-Eleven.
Yes. So after they kind of clear out the house, they have Augie, they have Jake's back in action.
Goodbye, father. It is I, Augustine.
They go back to Silverado.
I like Cobb. I like the dialogue going into Silverado. So they all ride up like a classic Western scene. Everyone, you see like the front of the horse's face, it kind of pans up. It's each one of the riders. Everyone's like segregated by like 5 inches to like, so you could see everyone. It's really nice. I like Emmett's quote. He's like, well, see you around. Paden's like, hey, last one at the Midnight Star buys, which is the bar. Jake, of course, you're on. Excited. And then Mal just like, hey, Paden, good luck. Like in all seriousness. And I'm like, you could just tell, like, everyone likes one another. They're all on a mission. They all hate these people. I'm like, this is awesome. Yeah, it's a good scene.
Yeah, it is a good scene.
We get Slick seeing Ray.
Yeah, Slick figures out where Ray has been being tended to. It's like a shed somewhere.
Yeah, it's like a really weird scene too. Jake kicks in the door to the saloon and takes down Tyree at this point in time.
This scene I loved. Like, he kicks down the door to the saloon, he takes off his shoes, and he's like sneaking around. Oh, yeah. And he kind of doubles back and does like a twofer.
Yeah, little drawing. So
yes, yeah, that's what he did.
His back is to the wall, and imagine you take one hand and turn it to the right, one to the left. You have both guns in each gun in each hand, and then it pans out, and you could see each villain is on the left and the right,
like walking away from him.
Yeah, and then it takes them both out at the same time. It's like a really beautiful scene. The way it was.
It's
filmed.
A really beautiful double murder.
And then we get a not so slick move from Slick. He pulls out a Dillinger. This guy,
yeah.
Everyone's got a Dillinger. He's like, baby girl, I got a Dillinger. He bought it at Dillard's.
Yeah, but what he doesn't have is his fucking boot knife.
Did you know that is why the origin of Dillard's, that they used to sell Dillingers and other firearms?
Okay, yeah, that's a good pro tip.
This was the weakest looking thing I've ever seen.
I know.
What the hell? The way he held it too is just like, what the hell?
Yeah, so this is Slick not being so slick.
It's gutted.
No.
No, yeah. He would have been slick if he still had his knife, but
He does
He
not.
does not.
Well, I thought he knew that his boot
No.
knife was gone, but he didn't.
no.
Do you think he would know if his boutonniere
Most
was
definitely.
gone? Because I do think he would know
No,
that.
he would have noticed that.
He'd be, oh, my boutonniere.
If it was gone, would it be
Oh.
boot and far?
Also, Paul, I did write "not so slick now." So.
That's the anti-lube that I'm trying to market.
Yeah, I like this end scene because every good guy gets their showdown with like a bad guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm glad we all said that at the same time. Like, yeah. Extra, yeah.
Although I have to admit, I was a little disappointed in Jake versus.
Yeah, that was
Tyree.
real quick.
Yeah.
I
That
wanted
was
to
kind of
see
a
like
little
a good old
unceremonious.
fashioned fucking beatdown for Tyree.
Yeah, I mean, it was a really cool
quick.
scene, but yeah, it didn't take long.
I do want, yeah, I mean, yes, but I do want to highlight that everything we've said about Jake comes to pass here. He's Jake's totally a badass.
Yeah,
I mean, he is wild, he is young, he needs to calm down, but when it comes to him and fighting in any capacity, he's like 10 out of 10.
Yeah, but I kind of feel like Tyree could have been set up as like a pretty cool, scary villain, and they just
agree.
they
No.
totally never.
No.
I mean,
they set him up as like a fucking lunatic, but
Well,
not like a badass one.
You know, Collin, I think what they would have done is like make him like a cheater, like sweeping the leg kind of style.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Like he would have been the guy to like maybe like
pocket sand.
what? Yeah, like Jake. Imagine this, like Jake's getting with that girl that he was hitting on earlier, and then it's at night, and then Tyree's like, the only way I'm gonna get the one up on this guy is I have to sneak into his bed at night, like, and I'll do something like that, and then Jake gets up and is like, dude, go to hell.
Yeah, Tyree gives Phoebe herpes, and then Phoebe gives Jake herpes, and bam, he's gone.
That's the long road. That's the unsung western. That's
syphilis
going back to Firewalker. If you need to go to urgent care, Denver has many. So this has been brought to you by Urgent Care. Cure yourself of the Firewalker.
In 6 to 9
before it
months, he'll
cures
be
you.
a civil.
Old West,
It's not going to take that long.
Colorado way.
So, who is Emmett showing down against?
Yeah.
McKendrick.
Yeah.
McKendrick, that's right.
Which and this is brutal.
Yeah.
This comes from a brutal past. Do you guys all remember like what happens here?
Well, Emmett gets shot in the leg.
He does. Emmett does get shot. Which you're thinking like not all these guys are going to come out of this unscathed. And so what happens is he gets on a horse basically, and
I fucking love this.
and uses the horse to kick McKendrick in the face.
Yeah, he like uses the horse to like Liu Kang bicycle kick McKendrick right in the face.
It is-
and it's fucking awesome.
It's crazy. Like McKendrick is dead.
No.
Sort of. You think?
Well-
There you go. Someone have to say it.
Oh, he dead.
Oh, I tell you, man, he did.
Yeah. He's super dead. And then you just get like the final boss. Cobb is sitting in a chair on a porch, polishing his sheriff's badge.
I do
I mean,
like that.
That's what a sheriff
I don't
does.
even know what to say about this.
Yeah,
Power
pretty much.
move.
This, like, I absolutely loved it. They're just like, Paden comes up to show down with Cobb. He's just like, yeah, bad luck. And just like, goodbye, Paden.
Yeah.
Bye, Cobb. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, I again, there's no one yelling. This has just come to pass. I like Cobb as a villain because I understand his motivations. I don't agree with him. I don't agree with his morality or lack thereof. I don't agree with his ethos or lack thereof. But I understand everything he's doing. And he doesn't cheat his way to anything when it comes to Paden. And Collin's totally right. They say their goodbyes. Someone is going to die from this. There's nothing else really to say. Like, they rode together, and there is a sense of respect from each of them. I really feel this is a good final showdown.
The one thing I really liked about this scene is that Paden is very clearly like a crack shot. He's very fast. But Cobb is also shown to be very fast.
Cobb's no slouch.
He doesn't. It's not like Cobb knows he's gonna lose.
Yeah.
Like he's, it's up in the air.
I get the
50-50,
impression that
could totally win.
he thinks he might.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. He
But
does.
he also,
Yeah.
you can feel he's very confident in doing this one-on-one. He's not just gonna stand up and give it in. You can feel confident that this is gonna. Like, I feel the tension between us. I have no idea who's gonna win this.
Yeah.
But
Like-
just this little bit is enough to build up enough tension for. In another movie, this could have been drawn out another 10 minutes of
That was a
dialogue,
great showdown.
Yeah.
But this is perfect.
Yeah.
It's like, so if he was like a villain for villain's sake, there would be more deception here.
Absolutely, yes.
Like, he could have worn, Back to the Future style armor, or, something. He could have done something to screw Paden over, and he doesn't. It's just a straight up showdown.
Yeah, and that's why I just want to say, again, there was just transparency between both of these characters. Like, the story is fleshed out, who Paden is. He was done riding with his gang. He found himself. He found a sense of life. He didn't like this. It seems that although Cobb's men make jests and stabs at this, that Cobb might not agree with what happened, but is very clearly respects Paden in every which way, hires him on because he thinks he's, trustworthy enough and, wants to keep him, in his pocket. But yeah, shots are fired.
Yeah.
And Cobb is dead.
And, kind of to your point earlier about Paden having this, Buddhist outlook, when he's left for dead and he just kind of, lays down on a rock to sleep himself to death. I kind of feel like that's sort of Cobb's mentality going into this fight. He knows Paden well enough to know that, I'm a decent shot, but Paden doesn't fuck around. You can see it in his eyes, and this is, maybe I'm reading too far into this, but I feel like this is a credit to Brian Dennehy's acting. When he saddles up for that fight, he goes into it you can see it in his eyes. I'm probably not going to come out of this, but I'm going to go into it legit.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I would imagine there's
Yeah.
also a lot of respect here too, because if there are duels like this, someone gets shot, you might have to take a second shot to bring that person down. It seems like that would happen. Someone is just not
Right.
getting up from that, Mike.
No, someone ain't getting up from that. Also, I really thought they were going to pull the old trope of the other person got a shot.
Yeah, and you
off
see
as
the
well.
blood trickle
And
down
I was
his
really
wrist, at
expecting
the end there. That's what I thought was
Yeah.
going to happen.
Or
Yeah.
he grabs his
Yeah,
rib
Jeremy,
cage.
I 100% thought that was going to happen, and I was so stoked when
Yeah.
it didn't. When the camera just panned back to
Yes.
Paden, he's like,
all the
"Well,
good guys win.
time to go." And he's like, "Where am I going? Going back to that saloon."
It is a very quick ending too, and that's not a bad thing by any means. All the pieces are kind of wrapped up. Paden and Emmett and Jake are gonna go
California.
back to California.
Cali,
Wait, where are they
Cali.
going?
California.
Thank you.
Hannah's there for some reason.
Yeah.
Emmett had kind of had a moment with her earlier, and then they kind of break up again or something.
And
Yeah,
Paden,
because this chick's crazy. No one wants to deal with
She
it.
just wants to farm.
Paden says he has a job, and then shows that he's wearing a sheriff's badge. But he's clearly there with Stella, and he's very happy. You even hear Jake say, "We'll be back." It's the last line of the movie that I caught. You hear him yell it. It's not very audible, but he's riding off. He's like, "We'll be back." But yeah, as Collin was noting, there's kind of this note to Patricia Arquette's character. Rosanna Arquette's character, Hannah, that yeah, we'll be back. We'll be coming through. No one's coming back.
Nope.
Not for her.
No one gives a shit about her.
Yeah, she's done at the end. Well, before we go into all of it, as always, feel free to reach out to us at rabbittroopsuckspodcast@gmail.com. People have written us. We appreciate it. If there's any movies you'd like us to cover, we are going to be covering some fan requests soon. We had a little bit of a list for a couple of reasons. But yeah, thanks for writing us, especially online too. Hit us up on Facebook or Instagram. There's always a lot of fun people noting how much childhood memories they have of some of these films, or how silly some films are, how awesome some of these films are. So
How awesome we are.
yeah, 5 out of 5 stars if you're reaching us on any level of podcast or platform that plays it. I use the iTunes on my iPhone, and I know Mike does the same. So please give us some ratings, because it does give us a little bit of I guess like sheds a little bit of light on our podcast.
Yeah, if we know where you're listening to us,
learn
from,
that
we
language,
can kind of it gives us
We'll
more.
do the podcast.
Yeah, it gives us more ability to do targeted ads and stuff. And the more people listening on a platform, the more ability we have to like reach more people. So we see. Yeah, listen to us on a goddamn platform. Not on the fucking website.
And rabbittroopsucks.com you could go to proper, and we'll probably have some new shirts soon. We've been talking about stuff, but we have some shirts and merch, and you still need to buy that shower curtain or that skateboard for a loved one. It's not too late. So you could always start some early Christmas shopping. It's never too late.
Very early.
Very.
And as noted, Instagram and Facebook. But I love this movie. I thought this movie was excellent. Again, Kevin Kline and Scott Glenn, everyone's fantastic, but just really, really solid. Danny Glover, I love. There's one thing I skipped over, a little writing note. At one point in time, they meet McKendrick's men, and Danny Glover is like, he says something like, you better be careful when someone knows how to use a rifle like this. Like, they aim to kill. He says it like very bluntly, like, who you talking about? And then his dad pulls out the rifle, and the illusion that he is the best shot outside of Jake. It's very clear his dad trained him. It's just said in that brief moment. Like, it's not said, my dad trained me. There's no exposition that led there. It is just an illusion that, where do you think I learned it? It's my daddy. Love it. Love this film. Great call, Collin. This is great.
Woo. Yeah, Collin. I'm actually want to thank you for introducing me to this movie. I'm happy that you did. I remember when this movie came out, paid no attention to it because I don't do Westerns. And when I saw trailers for it, I'm like, nope. This was back in the day. I was young. I just wanted cartoons and Transformers and all that. But now that I'm older, I can appreciate movies like this. And they did it well. It's stellar casting for solid characters. And within 2 seconds what type of person they are within like 2 sentences of what they say. Going to your point earlier that you mentioned, Paul, when they first meet Emmett, he's being robbed. He shoots a guy. He's clearly a guy who knows how to defend himself. But he meets a stranger in the next scene, and he gives him water. He's a good guy. You understand what he's all about. So it's a great pacing of the story.
Totally.
I mean, I wanted to mention this earlier because this has been one of my things with movies lately, with these jump cuts that in these movies that we reviewed, like just cut this next scene, the next scene. That happens here in this movie too, but it makes sense, and that's the whole point. If you're gonna shovel in scenes, cut scene after cut scene, just bounce around, have it make sense. And these ones matter, and it's all for the story, and it's all for the great pacing of the story.
I did hashtag Lamar don't do Westerns.
I do now, based off it. This is a great intro to, if you don't do Westerns, I would say that this is a great entry point into it. Give this movie a shot. What's off-pointing with me in Westerns is the length of most of them. And this movie is hefty. It's 2 hours.
I would wager in my life, I have seen more movies with, comparatively, like an individual. Yeah. I think I've seen more movies with Lamar than I've seen with anyone in my life. Mike would be clearly a close rival. My wife as well. And I was really thinking, like, Lamar, we have probably our second Western or third together ever in our lives.
Yeah, I don't ever recall sitting down watching a Western.
And that's why I said, like, opening in that I'm
Unless Young Guns is being counted.
It would.
Yeah, I think it is.
Right. like I've seen Young Guns with Lamar. So throwing that in, it's not a genre of film I usually gravitate towards. And I'm not saying anything bad about it. I'm just like, there are several Westerns that I'm like, once I was totally in. And this is one I am totally in. But others, it's just, the big thing is this. There's a lot of critiques right now on it. And it's superhero movies or the Westerns, and people got tired of that. There are so many Westerns for a decade plus people just got burnt the F out on them. And we are now living in that superhero generation. There's a lot of comparisons, and there's a lot of articles about this, and a lot of directors talking about this, that this is just going to be like one of many, like, I don't know, like epochs of just film. And people will look at it later on that there's the superhero bubble, the Western bubble. And so I think maybe I was born in an age where the background was less Westerns, but I have no problem, and I'd gravitate towards this. That's why I was super happy Collin suggested this, because to see a good movie is to see a good movie, and this is a dope movie.
And Mike, you mentioned that earlier, this might have been just an attempt to get Gen X into Westerns. Maybe that was the point back then. And if that was the case, it's a very good entry point into it for people who might be put off by what you think a Western is. This movie can have a lot of fun with it and be very serious. Before I toss it up to you, Jeremy, I just wanted to say that Jeff Goldblum is an amazing person, but just very, very oddly casted in this movie. I have no idea why. It just stuck out like a big sore thumb.
He wants you to know that there's an apartment out there for you.
Big old Jeff.
What'd you think of this movie, though, Jeremy?
Oh, I love this movie. I've seen this movie before. So when I was growing up, I lived next door to my grandparents, and when I got sick of my mom and dad, I would just run across the yard and go into my grandparents' house. And my grandma always used to watch Westerns, so I was very used to them growing up. I love all of the Clint Eastwood Westerns. I like how they're more brutalistic than a lot of like John Wayne Westerns, which are more like family oriented, like lighthearted. But this had a nice like mix. Yeah, I really liked it. The only, like I said, my only critique of this movie is the character that Rosanna Arquette played, Hannah. She really didn't serve any purpose. At some point, I thought that maybe like Kevin Kline wanted to do some poonhounding with her, then like maybe Emmett wanted to, and she was into both of them. I wasn't sure if that was true or why, but she was just kind of like a throwaway character, and I know that they left some of her scenes on the cutting room floor, and I wish that there was like some kind of director's cut so you could see more of her character development out there. But I don't know, maybe she was like drunk during the fucking filming of her scenes. And so they're like, we can't use any of this. So, but we paid her already, so she's got to be in it at some point. But that's my only critique of this movie. It's a great film, and I enjoyed watching it again.
Yeah, I mean, for all of the movies we do, there's a whole bunch where I'm like, hey, I'm super glad I've seen this film. I'm never going to watch it again. I watched this earlier today for this podcast, and I am for sure going to watch this again.
Definitely.
I would definitely watch this again.
Yeah, I still love it. Like there's a whole bunch of stuff that we didn't even get into. But yeah, no, just absolutely love it.
So I'm going to ask you a weird question, and I'm going to ask you a
me.
weird thing to do.
Okay.
I want you to spiritually channel your mom since she is not here. What are some things that she might want to add about this film or say, knowing your mom and knowing her love of this film? What is something she would say about Silverado?
I think that she would just highlight some of the some of the dry humor lines. There are a couple scenes that we kind of like we blew over that really kind of bring the film together. Like Lamar was saying, there's a bunch of jump cuts, and each of these small there's a handful of scenes that are really only 10 to 15 seconds long that you don't really understand the impact of until basically the end. Yeah. or maybe on a second watch through, like Jeremy's hang up on on Hannah's character. Like if you were to watch this again and like really kind of focus on some of like the dialogue, like you would see some of like the story elements that I mean, you're right, it doesn't really like add to the story overall, but like some of the dialogue that like Paden Emmett has regarding her is hilarious, and it does still drive forward and does still provide character development for Paden Emmett and Hannah.
It's funny you say that, Collin, because some of those lines, like we talked yesterday that you saw this movie like a day ago or today, and I watched it a handful of days ago, and I've been like unpacking some of that dialogue. So I feel my first initial reaction was more towards Jeremy, like seems like a throwaway character, but then I realized it was almost like a running gag between the characters, which is amazing because I was like, wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot. The rewatchability of this movie is, I feel, solid.
Yeah, and there's so much you could focus on, like Paden's hang up with luck, or Jake's kind of affability and his just like, oh, all I did was kiss a girl kind of thing, or like Emmett's stoicism. Like there's so much that you could focus on each each watch through that really just makes this an incredible movie.
I mean, I'm kind of curious, going back to the mom question, if Silverado is one of her favorite, what would be another that you throw out? Because clearly this is a hit for all of us.
Ooh, I don't know. I mean, there's all the movies that like I made that like we watched together as a kid, but it's hard to kind of separate between whether we watched them because she really liked them or because like she knew that we liked them as kids. Yeah, so that kind of makes it hard.
We'll have to give her an interview.
I know. There are a handful of lines that I know like that she would have brought up as we went through this that I wanted to bring out that I was really holding out to to keep from just quoting the whole movie as we went through.
Before we throw it to Mike, what do you think one of the most memorable quotes we did not use? Shout out to Mom.
There was when the land office is burning and they're kidnapping Augie. Scruffy, one of the McKendrick guys, is like when they're deciding whether to take the kid, he's just like he saw us, and just like his drawl with that is just so funny.
You just remember Augie being like, "Yes, father." It is Mike, what did you think of Silverado? Bring us home.
Yeah, I really like this movie. Like I said, I'd never heard of it up until Collin mentioned it. I almost wish that I had seen this before I had to watch it for the podcast, because like I was kind of caught in this dichotomy of like, do I just enjoy this or do I take notes?
Sure.
Like, I mean, apologies for not being able to narrate the dog thing, but like I was just watching the movie at that point. Like,
That's what happened to me.
Yeah,
too.
like my notes were super spotty.
That's why you gotta watch the movie twice again to get that dog story.
Yeah, I, honestly, I will definitely watch this movie again. I've never been a huge Western fan.
There's some good ones.
I mean, I love Young Guns, but I don't.
Yeah.
I
think that's what I'm trying to say. I agree with Mike. So I don't want to be like I'm against it. I need curation. I like Collin, great job.
Yeah,
if someone has a good Western, bring it my way. It's the John Wayne Westerns that I don't want to sift through anything. True Grit's awesome. But that's like one of his 50 John Wayne films.
Yeah. I'm not a huge fan of John Wayne films. I'm not a big fan of Clint Eastwood films. I think I said Tom Ford earlier. I meant John Ford, not the fashion designer. But like I've seen a lot of the John Ford movies. I've seen a lot of Sergio Leone movies because I do. Part of me likes the weird spaghetti westerns. But we've talked about like that sea change of movie pacing that kind of happened in the mid '80s, and I feel like this is the first Western that I've seen that had like a 3-act structure like a normal modern movie, and that makes it really much more watchable for me. And this is I feel like this is more of a Western, whereas like Young Guns is more of like kind of I don't want to say a kid's movie, but like,
when's the last time you've seen Young Guns?
Whenever the last time you and I watched it was.
I don't know if we've seen the first one.
I've 100% seen it.
Together. No, I don't mean like that we've never seen like a Young Guns. Because Young Guns 1 is way more serious. Like you should...
It is way more serious, but like any movie where the crux of the plot falls on children, to me, is a kid's movie. And that's not a diss. Like I loved the first Young Guns, but like when children are given improbable roles, like it's just a different kind of movie.
They're all like in their 20s.
Uh-huh. Paul, I'm old as fuck.
Okay. Like in the West, that's like
they're 40s.
No,
they're like equated to like 50.
That's fair. I don't know.
They're on like death's door.
The movie's called Young Guns.
They're
also
younger.
the name
They're
of one
younger,
of those
yeah.
porn magazines that we the Young Guns.
Yeah, well, I mean, for me, it's Impotent Old Men and Whores. That's my magazine.
Well, I don't know if you go out on a better way than that. Before we go out on lots to think about there, before we go on that, next week we are all going to watch a movie for the first time. Bittersweet for me. This is going to celebrate the 30th anniversary of Kurt Cobain's death. Definitely a huge impact on me, the artist of Kurt Cobain and Nirvana. The movie is Over the Edge from 1979. I have never seen this. It is notably one of Kurt Cobain's favorite films, and it was filmed in Colorado. Really? We'll talk about it. Yeah, if we have not seen it and you have, and you want to tell us a little bit about it, let us know, especially if you live in Colorado. Basically, some kids are just not having it, and they're through with their parents and the school administration, and they're over the edge. And that's all I really know outside of a killer soundtrack. I don't know anything about the movie. I will back that I like the soundtrack. It's kind of punk and rock, a lot of fun. But the movie itself, I do look forward to watching. I'm super surprised. I've never seen this in my life.
Is there anyone notable in it?
Matt Dillon.
Okay.
I think maybe someone else.
Oh,
Suck it, Matt Dillon.
What if he gets those like crazy veneers that he does in Something About Mary?
God. No, Matt Dillon's pretty great.
Also, Matt Dillon, if you want to be a co-host or something on this one day, let us know. We're here.
Yeah,
Matt Dillon.
Send us an email.
After that warming invite, from Collin, yes, and Mike, maybe not. But don't go over the edge too fast. But we'll talk about it, and then we've got Jeremy in house after studio side. So as always, Rabbit Troop sucks.
Rabbit Troop.
Giddy up.
Yeehaw.
Don't go cobbing.
The yeehaw.
Or Cab Killer.